Hey everyone, check out my new character. I spent so long designing them and making them look as unique and wonderful as possible. What do you think?
I think this looks like comparing this other thing right here with a very unoriginal comment.
Well, I mean, I guess I can kinda see the similarities. I mean, they're somewhat the same color shade and, no, that's not it. No, that doesn't look the same. How does this look just like that? I mean, ugh! Maybe they're both the same color, so your simple mind cannot put together the fact that these are two different entities, but heaven forbid should I ever express an opinion such as that online. Whew! I don't know about you, but I hate it when people make comparison comments like this. Hello everyone, and welcome to my Ruffled Feathers segment, where I talk about the things in the art community that really just irk me, rub me the wrong way, and just outright piss me off. So obviously this episode is going to be talking about people who make those comparison comments that are so unoriginal, uninspired, and just bleh. Now, some comparisons are good and acceptable because they help you as an artist improve, and you take that feedback. Maybe something looks a little bit too similar like something else, you look at it again and go, you know what, that does look a little bit too much like this, I probably should change it some way or another. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, you get the ones that really piss me off, which are basically saying that this original creation that you spent so long making, and all this work and effort that you put into it, basically looks exactly like this pre-existing thing, even though they quite clearly do not. If it does, maybe you need to rethink it, but 9 times out of 10, it doesn't, and the only similarity is usually that they have a similar color palette, which I don't understand what it is with this community. Art color palettes cannot be copyrighted. It's like if you combine the colors purple and gold on a dragon, boom, suddenly you've created Spyro. Yes, purple and gold is just universally recognized as Spyro. It doesn't matter what the character physically looks like. It doesn't matter if the palettes are swapped in any way. It doesn't matter if there's any difference whatsoever. It can look totally polar opposite. But if it's a primary purple and it has gold accents, congratulations, you've just made a Spyro clone. At least according to the internet sites. But it's not copyrighted. You can have a purple dragon with gold accents and have it not be Spyro. It's an insane concept to think about. I know, trust me, I see it far too often. It's these kind of comparisons that really drag down an artist's feeling, as well as just completely breaks their motivation. They spent all this time making something so unique and wonderful, and you just completely bashed it and destroyed it by comparing it to something pre-existing, taking all that originality from them. Nobody wants to be compared to somebody else. We all think that we're special snowflakes in this world, that the mold was broken when we were made, that no two are exactly alike. So when you come along and tell somebody that, oh, this unique thing that you created that looks exactly like something else, it's defeating. It's just, ugh, it just sucks. Nobody wants to hear that. And 9 times out of 10, artists just don't care. They'll completely disregard a comment like that. Now, there are a couple different comparisons to go over. And as I usually do with these videos, as much as I'm ranting and raving and fuming, and you've heard my sweet and happy Neffy voice that I always tend to use in my videos with all my enthusiasm just completely degrade into the absolute that I have right now, I want to remind people that I usually don't script these Ruffled Feathers episodes. It's just expressing what's on my mind, and I feel like my rehearsed voice just doesn't quite fit that. In my time on the internet, at least in the art communities, I've really seen 2 primary areas of comparison comments. One being the ones where they intentionally come out and find anything they possibly can to compare it to. When they directly compare something, it's basically like saying, oh, this character has a weapon that really reminds me of this weapon from this video game. Okay, you can take a look at it and go, yeah, okay, this basic claymore does look an awful lot like the claymore used in this anime or in this video game, because they're just so basic in design. You also see this with signature items. A prime example I can see of this is anytime you put a revolver on a sword, congratulations, you've made a gunblade. everybody sees a gunblade and goes, oh, that's this character from Final Fantasy. Doesn't matter if it's an original concept, doesn't matter if it's an original design. It's a gunblade, it was first seen in Final Fantasy, there you go, now you've just recreated something that already exists. When there's usually a direct comparison like this that really shows something that looks exactly like this, you can look at it and go, well, there is a bit too many similarities, so maybe branch out. If somebody can make a comparison to something that you thought was that original and unique, and you can look at it again and see the similarities within each other, it's a good way to revise it and make it more original and unique for next time. However, there are too many that make the bad comparisons. Literally just sticking the character on screen, having somebody look at it and go, oh, this looks like this Pokemon. You look at it and the only similarity is the fact that maybe they have a similar ear shape. Maybe they're slightly the same color. They both are dogs, perhaps. If you went up to somebody on the street who maybe had a hairstyle that looks similar to an actor, would you look at them and go, oh my god, you look exactly like this famous actor, just because their hair is a similar style? I sincerely doubt that, and you would feel like a fool, and they would probably giggle at you behind your back. Don't make comparisons like that over a teeny tiny detail. If it's a huge iconic detail, on the other hand, then it's a bit different. Some characters have very exclusive markings, weapons, hairstyles, or even the design of their eyes. It's something that is exclusively seen in this one character. The best example I can really think about this is when you look at a character like Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Zuko has a burn scar on his face that has a very iconic shape to it. Now, while I'm not saying you can't have a burn mark on your character's face, if the character just happens to have the exact look, it's a little too close. Another thing like this are markings on characters. Some have very unique and original markings that are only seen on this particular character. A good example of this is Neffertiti's eye marking. It's like a hooked shape with a spiral on one end. There's one dot that sits at the very front of her eyes, and two that sit at the back end of it. The symbol is something I created, and I've not seen it anywhere else. When I use this symbol, I use it to show how the white dragon is reincarnated. The symbol is always present somewhere on their bodies. On Neffertiti, it's on her eyes. In the Guardian before her, it was across his wings. This is a unique symbol, so if someone was to try and take this marking and slap it on another character, most people would recognize it and say, hey, that looks like Neffertiti's eye mark. Something like this is definitely a case of, oh, well, maybe they could have made something similar that kind of happens to look exactly like the same unique thing. No, it's not. And in this case, it's definitely blatant copying, and I have to say, in my past, I did this. It sucks, but as an artist, we all start somewhere, we do things that we're ashamed of, but we learn from them. We take the punishment of doing these actions, and then we move on. The way I usually did it when I was younger is I would see a really cool adopt posted on DeviantArt. I would love the way it was designed because of a specific marking or pattern. But then you take a look at the price, and it was like $200 for just a single ref sheet adopt. One flat colored base. It came with nothing else. It's just too much for me, especially as a young 13-year-old fresh on DA. I could not afford an adopt like that, but I really loved the aesthetic that the character had, so I took a little bit too much reference from it and ended up creating a near copy of the character. This is a huge no-no. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever you should ever take somebody else's design, change it just slightly, and call it your original concept. One adopt that I had seen had very unique looking ears. I'd never seen them anywhere else. They were kind of like little individual fins, like that worm monster from Monster Hunter. Forgive me for butchering the name. I think it's Misutun? I'm sorry, Monster Hunter fans, if I butchered the name. I don't play the game and I don't know how to pronounce the name. I'm sorry. But it has these little ear fin thingies that are kind of like little miniature wings or something. I'm not sure what they are, but the adopt had those on it, and I really loved the way they looked. So I took inspiration from that, and I wanted to put them into my own unique character. I did so with my character, Talia. But even when you look at Talia compared to the original monster that the ears were inspired by, they're completely different from each other. There's the similarity in shape and somewhat the orientation of them being on the head, but other than that, they're completely unique and different. This is an example of how you as an artist can take something that looks similar to something else, modify it, and make it into something original. When you do this in a positive way, as I did with Talia's design, I've not had a single person ever come up to me and say, hey, those look like the ears exactly on this monster, because they don't. This is the major difference between referencing and inspiring something. Another way to go about making comparison comments is to think about what you're going to say and then leave a creative comment. It's much more preferable to go up to somebody's artwork or page. If you have a comparison to make, at least do so in a creative manner. Don't simply come up to something and leave your own comment being, this looks like this, because that makes you just look like a jerk. If you need to say something like that, come up with something that I like to call the sweet sandwich. You start with the main grit of your comment being your bread. Wow, this design is really spectacular. Saying something positive about the artwork just to get things started. Then you get to the honey. This is the sweetest part of your comment, and this is what really drew your eye to it. I love the way you did the coloring. The markings stand out and are super vibrant. Okay, great. But art is evolving and learning, and part of evolution means taking a little bit of constructive criticism every now and again. This is where we get to the yucky part of the sandwich. Everybody has one. The markings do remind me a little bit too much of this comparison. And then you end it again with the bread, the closer, and the part that contains some advice for how it could have been made better. This is something I cannot stress enough, because just simply saying, this art looks bad because of this, doesn't help an artist improve. It simply draws attention to a problem in the artwork. Always try and find some way to be able to advise how this could have been done better. Either crisper colors, maybe change the line work, maybe not heavy reference this particular aspect of an animal too much. Try to include something like that if you feel the need to make a comparison comment and criticize someone's artwork. It's much better than just straight criticizing it. When you comment something like this, it really makes you feel like you put the effort into giving the artist feedback, and we as artists completely thrive on our feedback. Giving good comments, as well as good criticism, is a great way to get on an artist's good side, as well as build each other up and become friends. Some of my best friends on DeviantArt started out with just commenting on my artwork and giving feedback here and there, and now we're so close I swear I could trust these people with my life. Try and put the same effort into a comment that you would like to get back from one. A simple, nice, doesn't do much for an artist's feedback. There isn't a whole lot you can really work off of from just a singular word. The number one rant I usually go on regarding this whole topic of comparisons and leaving constructive comments is a picture is worth 1,000 words. Therefore, you can muster more than 3. But anyways, I hope this episode didn't come off as being too harsh, brash, or whiny. This is a topic that I tend to see a lot, and I personally have gotten the brunt of a lot of direct comparisons over the years because of color palettes alone. As well as a couple friends of mine who get comparison comments to their stuff and really hate it. And it's always for this exact reason. I just felt like this was something kind of important to get out here and talk about why comparisons are usually frowned upon within the art community. There are good comparisons and bad comparisons. Knowing the difference between the two and how individual artists understand them can help you avoid some very uncomfortable situations in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Maybe it was something nice to listen to while you were drawing, reading a book, or just generally finding time to loiter and waste on YouTube. I do want to thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope that you have a most wonderful day and a fantastic life.